right, let's rock and roll. So, hey guys, thank you for getting on to the 12 o'clock call held every Thursday. Today we have the privilege of having Mr. Hayden Hill on the call. So he's hey, how many times did you hit Hall of Fame, man?
My first and only full year in the field.
Okay, gotcha. So first year in the business, Hall of Famer, brand new integrity partner, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, first and foremost, man, congratulations on that, dude. That's a heck of an achievement. That's what everybody on this call should be striving for. Okay. Today I just kind of wanted to just dive into, we've got a bunch of new people on here. Dive into kind of like how do you get agents started, and what do you see as the biggest pitfalls in the first 90 days?
Yeah, so I think the first 90 days, really just the first, it can be the first 12 months of someone who's just kind of like struggling with it. The two most common things that I see is one, and usually this is 99.9% of the time, is just a lead flow problem. Whether they don't have enough leads, they're not diversifying leads, they're not consistently buying leads. And the second thing is the schedule. So, and I can relate to new agents, and I think everyone probably can relate to this, because like my first 3 months, those are my two issues. It was, I wasn't buying enough leads back when I started, and I think that you can probably relate. We didn't have instant internet leads. We didn't have any internet leads. It was like Facebook final expense. So we locked out counties, but that's pretty much all we had.
Yeah.
So I was that guy my first 3 months where I would order my, $400, $500 of Facebook final expense leads. And I knew I was supposed to order them on Thursday for that Monday coming up, and then Monday for Thursday. But I would only order leads once instead of doing it twice. So I was getting by on like $400 or $500 a week. Sometimes that would change and it would turn into 2 weeks because I wouldn't buy leads the next week, because I would be like, you know what, I have 6 final expense leads. I can probably throw it off.
It's like I didn't get in touch with these, so I'm just gonna call them again.
Yeah.
I didn't get in touch with them. I'm just gonna save my way into, instead of buying new leads, right?
Exactly. Like, hey, if I'm not spending leads this week, maybe if I get 1 or 2 sales, that's like a crazy ROI. And the thing, the problem that I faced was like I was protecting like 15, 20 families a month, which was decent. But I just was like getting frustrated after the second and third month. I'm seeing these guys like, Zach and Easton, all these guys that are like putting up these crazy numbers. And I'm like, and Steve and Rob, and I'm like, how are these guys protecting 40, 50, 60, 70? And you guys will hear that every single convention, every single conference, every single training call. Top producers spend $1,000, $1,200, $1,500, $1,800, $2,000 a week in leads. Now, does everyone start like that? Absolutely not. I didn't. It was levels that I had to get to, and swiping that credit card my first $1,000 a week. I'm like Nina's like the kind of person, my fiance that I do the business with. She's like, if it's 3,000, like I'm buying it. Like she's very like quick. She like pulls the trigger. Versus for me, like when I was swiping that credit card for my first $1,000 lead purchase, like I was quivering because I'm like, what if I don't make money? And I think that's everyone. It's natural. What if I spend $1,000 and I don't make any money? I've never done this before. What if I waste it? What if now I have no money to reinvest? And that's a real fear. But what I tell new agents is spending, 200, 300, 400, only getting a certain amount of leads is way riskier than if you just go for it and you have a decent amount. And the reason, what I tell agents is there's only 2 reasons why you would be scared to do that. 1, it's uncomfortable. You've never done it before. And then 2, maybe you're not confident in your skill set and your ability to do the job. So I always tell agents is like, dude, if you've been on the calls, you've made the calls, you know how to close, you know the objections, you're confident, you can, set the table if you're in person. If not, over the phone, you can follow a script, and you're confident in your sales ability. The only thing that's missing, and you should have no fear, is giving yourself enough chances. Because, if you were to go, shoot free throws, if you're a basketball player, if I said, hey, you can make 1, I'll give you $100, and you only had 3 shots, you may or may not make 1 out of 3. But if I said, hey, you have 10 shots, you're definitely going to make 1 out of 10. And that's the biggest thing with agents. Like you cannot, I know it's uncomfortable, but you cannot be cheap on leads, because that's what's going to get you to the next level. And then once you do it once, you'll never turn back and go down from there. So,
yeah. And you know, John Whitmore, he's a master of tricking. He was always a master of tricking me into making more money, right? So like what he would say is because like whenever I started, we only had like there was only one vendor. That was it, right? So it cost $1,200 to re-up your lead. So he goes, Zach, just take that $1,200. All right. You put it back over here, and then you're not going to spend $52,000 a year on leads. You're going to flip that $1,000 52 times. So it's the same 1,200 that you take out the initial 1,200, your first sale, you put that 1,200 back to the side. That's what you're going to spend on your leads. And whenever he said it like that to me, I was like, oh, okay. Like, so I'm not spending $1,200 a week. I'm spending the same $1,200 that I spent originally. You know, it was just a way that he tricked me into, you know, rationalizing that, because like coming from the construction business, I'd never had $1,200. You know what I mean? And that was a big deal whenever I was trying to like you said, quivering whenever I put down my credit card information, you know, like, oh God, like we got to have some commissions coming in because I'm into this $1,200 and those leads keep coming. So you don't have the option of just, you know, just getting those leads and buying those whenever you want to. They kept coming in, right? Yeah. So, and I think that betting on yourself, you know, like you were saying, that's a real huge aspect of this thing too, is being able to bet on yourself, you know, and believing in yourself enough to, like, I mean, if you're here, obviously you're a likable person, you know, and just being yourself and betting on yourself, you know. So schedule, what did your schedule look like whenever you were running Hall of Fame?
So, we didn't really have the telesales deal. A lot of our agency has switched over at least to a hybrid schedule or full time with that. So for me, my Hall of Fame run, I was probably 95% field, 5% telesales. And so what that looked like is I worked almost every day, like just being real, like I worked Monday through Sunday.
Okay.
Last year I took 97, maybe 98, almost 100 flights. And so like I was burning the candle thin at both ends. But what it looked like for me is like I was probably in town once, I would say 1 week out of the month. And so I was like doing a ton of travel trips. That's how my first 3 years in the business in a prior company, that's all we did, just because we couldn't, like I live in Phoenix, Arizona, which is like one of the, probably the worst area to be able to get any type of leads, whether it's mortgage leads, real estate leads, insurance leads. Like it's just a lot of people that are like salespeople for whatever reason, and it's difficult. So I grew up as like, hey, if you want to make money, you got to go to California, you got to go to Utah, you got to go to New Mexico, like you got to go to these states around. And so for me, what I did is I would take a lot of travel trips, and what I would do is I would, you know, book my schedule, run like 3 days in a row. At that point, if I had more, you know, juice left in the tank, and like with leads and stuff, maybe I would book and stay out there for 2 more days, but usually like a 3, maybe 4 day run period per travel trip. That was pretty much all I needed. And it was basically like, it was like 8 to 8 schedule. You know, it was 10, 12, 14, 15 appointments sometimes a day that I was just, you know, running. And then when I didn't have appointments, it was like doing the drop bys and making extra calls and texts and whatever I could do to just maximize my activity.
Got it. I think that the traveling too is that's what really changed my business. You know, that because I was driving 6.5 hours every week to go to work, and you don't know anybody out there, so you're going to work. You know, you're going to do all those things that we always preach to people to do, like door knocking and calling and doing all those things to fill in those gaps, because you don't have that familiarity of the area to stop you from doing that, right? Like you can't go eat with your wife if you're having a bad day.
Yeah.
You know, so what do you do? What do you guys do? I mean, like I know that y'all that you guys recruit on a different level, and y'all kind of opened everybody's eyes to the power of social media. Could you kind of go into that a little bit on like how you guys are finding people and finding sharp people at that, not just people that work at Walmart or McDonald's, you know what I mean?
100%. So what we realized a long time ago is that, like, warm market essentially, just kind of like when you're selling, like I would rather sit with referrals because they know someone. I'm gonna, like, if I sit with a referral, I'm usually 9.9 times out of 10 gonna sell them. Versus if I sit with a random, say like an internet lead, hopefully I sell them. I don't know if I will, I won't. It's a 50-50 shot. So that's kind of the same approach we had with recruiting agents. Is yeah, we do like a little bit of cold marketing stuff and do like ZipRecruiter and like Google Ads and stuff. Yeah, we definitely do that. It's probably 1% of our business, if I'm being 100% honest. The main, pretty much everything comes from social media. And what we realize is like those job sites are great, but it's kind of like a cold market, a cold lead, I would say, if you're comparing it to sales versus, the social media is a warm market. One, because we can see exactly who they are, what they look like, like you said, if they're a sharp person or not. They're seeing our stuff. What we do to attract those kind of people is we post, motivational stuff. We post the job. Like, I think a big thing, what we try to do, and when we were first starting out, we were really trying to show people is, one, the FFL, was the best opportunity in the space. And then two, that selling life insurance, like a lot of people, like when people think about selling life insurance, they think of like the 85-year-old grandpa with, oversized khakis and a clipboard, like talking to family and friends.
Pocket protector.
Yeah. What we were trying to show is like, hey, like the industry is actually pretty badass. Like it's a sexy industry. It's a, young industry. Like you can do it, whether you're young, old, middle-aged, doesn't matter. However many sales you want to make, that's up to you. Some people in our team make 10 sales a day. Some people make 1 or they make 0. It depends on however much you want to do. And so we just got super rabid about social media. Like we're very aggressive. Like we message a lot of people. We add a lot of people. We definitely do target licensed agents. We target pest control people, solar people, anyone that's has some sort of pedigree, car sales, real estate, whatever. Someone that has a pedigree of maybe they were all commissioned before or now, they've had some sales experience, etc. The other side to that, and with growth, that I think has helped is when you recruit someone, Zach, off, let's say ZipRecruiter, they're probably not going to come in and understand the whole like recruiting building aspect. They may sell some policies, but it's usually a foreign language to them. Versus if I follow you on social media, I've been posting on my story, I've been messaging you, you've been seeing our team, you've been seeing the sales, you've been seeing all the things, FFL breaking record week after week, all this kind of stuff. They're going to see it. And when they come on board, they already get it. They already understand, all right, if I want to build a team, I should probably post on social media. Because when you post on social media, like, dude, like we've tried to build this foundation where we share one thing and it gets shared by 30, 40, 50 people. And so like myself, I know a decent amount of people, but like there's no way I can impact thousands of people with my stuff. But the power of that like multiplication effect where we have 50, 60, 70 people sharing our stuff, dude, that's a lot of eyeballs. That's like tens of thousands, if not 100,000 plus eyeballs on every single post. The first sale images, the big days, the promotions, all that kind of stuff. So we realize is to duplicate, people that want to build a team and then also get that momentum. It's huge because the best way to multiply this thing is when you hire someone, you recruit someone, you bring them in, they start selling a bunch and they have their, starting 5 or their team kind of already thought of and they start building that. That's how you go from recruiting 1 agent to 10 really quick. Just like, a bunch of your guys' groups do, instead of hiring, all right, here's one person that's going to sell some policies. Here's one, here's another one. Like, hey, let's hire 1 and that turns into 10. And like, let's just keep on doing that model of just trying to duplicate little teams right from the get-go.
And so are you talking to, like, how fast are you talking to people about recruiting whenever you're doing, let's say the cold market that haven't seen all your social media? You know what I mean? Like, because I know that a lot of a lot of people on here are doing zip recruiters and things of that nature. Whenever you're bringing those people in, like when do you start to talk about, hey, we all, you can start doing this too. You can start building your own team. And what does that look like?
Yeah, I talked to him about it right away. So like that first conversation, the way I kind of explained it was like, hey, there's two sides to the compensation plan. The one of my favorite things about FFL is you can make a ton of money just selling insurance. So if you don't want to recruit, like I've been in one of those companies, I don't want to recruit my, friends and my family and people in Walmart and that whole weird like MLM thing. But if you do want to build a team, the second side of the compensation plan is based on building a team and training a team and growing the volume. And so I explained that to him. And like, in terms of like social media, we didn't start with big social medias. We didn't start, like Nina didn't even have a LinkedIn profile when we first started, but we built it and we reached out for help. Like we use this company called Insurance Branding, and they help us with our engagement and targeting other salespeople and stuff like that. So there's things that everyone can do. But once you have that foundation built, like that multiplication effect, man, it starts snowballing and gets pretty crazy.
Okay. And as far as the people that you're bringing in that have seen all your stuff, so they understand that they're going to be talking to their friends and family. So like, how do you differentiate the MLM model from what you guys are doing? Because like nobody wants to be like some of these other companies that are out there where it's just, hey, you got to recruit, you know what I mean? Like, so how do you set that apart?
Yeah. If once we go through everything, if they're interested in building a team, then right away, like, hey, let's talk about we call it a starting five. Let's talk about our starting five. Let's find some people that, you want to partner up with. If they don't want to build a team, that's totally fine. A lot of people, like, especially if they're not, they haven't been in the industry or they haven't been in like a sales team building atmosphere, what's their response? Hey, yeah, I may want to do that in the future, but once I sell some policies, I know how to sell it on my own.
Yeah. Once I get good, I'll be able to tell people how to do it. Or
Yeah.
I want to have success first. You know what I mean? Like, and everybody hears all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And if that's someone, that's 100% fine. But if they do want to build a team, like we just get into it right away. And I think what's easy about building a team here is like a lot of those models, like you recruit and build a team for you to make money and only you. I think at FFL, we take for granted the compensation and the money. Like once you start with FFL and you start having success, the money thing is ruined for you. Like think about going back to a job, think about what you used to make. It's ruined because you have a taste of your potential and what you can do. And so what I tell people, and like once they start selling and they understand that, it's like we all know people that are successful, but how many people do you know that can go pop a couple hours a day in commission like right away? And so I think once you make it more about what it can do for that newest person, it's not that like MLM-y, like, oh, I'm trying to recruit people to build my team. It's hey, we're building an agency, but the opportunity here, like you can make a ton of money. And we have agents on our team that, make a lot more money than a lot of managers because they sell a ton of insurance. So I think differentiating that and letting them know the opportunity for them, even if they just want to sell insurance, is still ridiculous.
Gotcha. What's your average? What's the average age of people that you guys are bringing in?
I don't have the exact data, but if I was to bet, I would probably say the average age is probably 26, 27, 28, 29 years old.
Right.
And I think that stems a lot from the whole warm market, like recruiting. Something else though, back on the thing you just said, is like the compound effect of like when you're starting out, it's like, well, you actually made pretty good money, but you have to realize like this is a new career. It takes time. Like Nina didn't have one agent on her team until 9 months in the business. She was selling a bunch of insurance. She didn't have one agent. And that's what we always tell people. They're like, hey, I see these guys. I see Andrew Taylor at, 20,000 families a month. And it's like, yeah, but Andrew Taylor's been doing this for 15 years. And so I think the biggest thing, if you're new, I don't know how many new people are on here, but when you recruit agents that are new, it's like, this thing takes time. It's a new career. It's totally foreign to you. The main thing that's going to change your business is when you figure out lead flow and you figure out your schedule, which may take a few weeks and may take a few months. But if you just keep on doing this thing, like the insurance model is built obviously to make money quick because it's upfront money, but it's also built to make money residually and build long-term. Like what you do in year one, you keep on selling, you keep on recruiting, you're going to make way more money in year two because you have that money from year one coming in and the efforts you did in year one. And so that's something we try to preach of, like, you know, there might be some people who figure it out in their first week. I'm jealous of them. It wasn't me. There may be some people it takes six months, 12 months, 18 months. But this thing, if you just keep on doing the right stuff, especially if you're using both sides of the contract, the selling muscle and the building muscle, dude, like, I don't know anything else like it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that you just hit on something too that was very important, and you kind of glanced by it, but I like to always bring light to this is I think the quickest way for a new agent to go out of business is to compare him or herself to other performers, right? Because like we all come from different backgrounds, right? We all have different life experiences that have led us up to here. You can't compare yourself to John that just came out of the gate and is doing 40 grand a month. You know what I mean? But like a lot of people do, they go, oh man, he's killing it and I'm not, I'm doing something wrong. You know, but they don't give themselves the time for them to flourish, to get it, for the light bulb to go off. It goes off on with everybody at different points in the business, you know? Like I'm still having light bulbs go off and I've been doing this since 2012. You know what I mean? So I think that's really important. So what are your expectations of a new agent, and how do you set expectations for new agents?
Yeah. So what we try to do is, you know, just starting from the recruiting call, if they're licensed, like right away, we're filling out contracting, we're going through onboarding boot camp, like we're getting going fast. If they're not, what I like to do is say, hey, we're providing the study voucher, we're paying for that. We've had some people, true story, someone's passing in 1 day of studying. Most people take a week or two. And so if you can knock it out in your first week, awesome, but let's try for 2 weeks. And so what we're going to do today, like right now, is we're going to book your test for a week or two out, or sooner if you think you can do it. 1, to make sure we secure a test date. 2, to make sure we're going fast. And 3, to make sure the memory's fresh in your head. So we booked the test. From there, our admin will send out a study voucher. They go, they pass their test. From there, basically, what the way we explain onboarding is, once you fill out contracting, basically what you're going to do is you're going to start boot camp. Now, if you're experienced in the industry, it's probably going to take you like 2 days to go through, take notes, and like learn everything. If you're not, it might take you 3 or 4. During that first week, once you knock out the boot camp and the training, your carrier contracts, or most of them will be in that first week. And so you're going to start receiving carrier contracts. Once you have like 2, you can start getting out there and calling, you know, leads. Something that what we first started to do is we would wait till people had like 6 or 7 carriers, and it takes like 2.5 weeks sometimes. And then we realized, hey, once we have like Americo and one more, Americo Mutual Omaha, Americo Prosperity, Americo AIG, whatever the case is, like we can get going. And so after they finish that boot camp, they watch some videos. We have a Zoom where people are doing, you know, telesales. They're booking appointments for in-home. Go on that, listen in, like start to get yourself familiar with everything. But once that training piece is done, the last step before they're actually calling leads and selling is we'll do a lead strategy call. That's something we implemented probably 6 months ago. Super important because everyone's different. Some people are part-time, some people are full-time, some people have some money to spend, some people have no money to spend. Some people want to do telesales, some people want to do in person based on their location. Based on their location, it may be hard to get leads. Like if someone comes in, now it's not an issue with internet leads, but like in Maricopa County, it used to be, hey, you either got to travel or you need to do telesales. So I have that conversation. We look through the ILC, we look through everything. We talk about, you know, a lead plan. Once you get going, maybe we differentiate, maybe we add in some live transfers, maybe we add in some direct mail after a few weeks once you start getting it. And so that's kind of like the conversation we have. And then from there, that next day, you know, I think it goes without saying, like if they want to have success, it's highly recommended. Now, are they independent contractor? 100%. Am I going to text you and say, Zach, it's 8 a.m. You're supposed to be dialing today. It's your first day. Where are you on Zoom? No. But like, it's the expectation. If you want to have success, you need to plug in. You need to plug into the systems. And then from there, our whole thing is in person. A full-time agent running in person is 30 appointments a week if you're running in the field. Telesales, what we do as a full-time agent is 25 appointments a week. 5 days a week, 5 appointments a day. And what we mean and how we define a presentation via telesales is not, hey, Zach, it's Hayden from the benefit center, click. That's not an appointment. The appointment is, all right, great. We get to the close question. This is option A, B, C. And then they decide yes, no, maybe, whatever the case is. So that's the benchmark that we kind of provide. Telesales also, the way that we go about it is 1,000 dials a day or one family protected. Like if you dial 1,000 times, you're going to protect at least one family.
So are y'all doing like call to close, all of them?
Yeah. What we realize is the telesales model, we just want to get rid of the no-shows and that extra step.
Yeah.
So, there's some, like if someone can't do it that time, of course, we'll reschedule them for later in the day or the next day. But we really try to do one call closes because it's just right there. It's 100% show rate. It's more effective.
And see, I've been doing like yesterday, for example, I had 6 on the books, and I didn't make a presentation until the last one. Sold 150 at the last one to a 20-year-old, no doubt. You know what I mean? So I mean, my thing is I've been having appointments for so long and doing like because I did 7 years in the field, is that I feel naked if I come in here and I don't have anything on my books. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just like freaking out. You know, like I've done. I'll do closed call. Like if somebody that pick up, boom, I'm back in my leads and I'm hammering them again, trying to get somebody on the phone. You know, but like it just makes me real nervous not to have people on my schedule, man.
No, I hear you. And I mean, now it's with telesales, it's so much easier because obviously, you know, a lot of people have Zoom dial rooms you can plug into. So there's some support. Yeah. You have things like Phone Burner that you can make, you know, 100 dials an hour. We have things like Zipo where you can text your follow up and automate it. Like there's so many tools that we have now that I'm the same way, dude. Like I'm like, if I don't have appointments, I'm freaking out. But if you have enough leads and you use those tools and you follow a system, like it's been a game changer because for us, what we realized, and I'm sure it's the same with every team in the whole company, is the agents, they're going to go protect 30, 40, 50 families, 25 families a month, whatever the case, like high performers, they're going to do it over telesales or they're going to do it in the field. That's just the person that they are. They're a go-getter. They're going to figure it out. But what we realize is for our part-time agents or our agents that are kind of struggling, that maybe they're, you know, only protecting, you know, 5 families a month, 8 families a month, 10 families a month, the differentiator between switching to that telesales model, the profitability and stuff is increased a lot. And so for us, it's really been helpful in terms of profitability and retention.
And if you could just leave us with this right here, because everybody just got to get back on the phones and I want to respect your time. If you could just leave us with, you know, what would you have done earlier, or what do you wish that you had done earlier in the business? And then just anything that you want to leave these guys with would be helpful, man.
Yeah. I think, you know, and it's definitely cliche and corny, but I think, you know, one thing is like, I wish I would have thought bigger, faster. Like when dude, I've been doing this for 6 years almost. And when I started the business, I didn't really know what integrity was. I didn't ever think it was attainable. It was just a kind of like, hey, that's cool for those guys that have been doing it, that are up there. So I think one, realizing that it's very attainable and you can do it quick. The second thing is now I realize that I didn't, is when you're a business owner, especially in this model, because of the high quick payouts and the high commission, I wish I wouldn't have kept so much money in my bank account. I wish I would have spent maybe $200 a week more in leads. I wish I would have hired my staff a little bit sooner. I wish I would have put some more ads out on Instagram or Craigslist or, you know, LinkedIn, whatever the case is. So if I would have invested more, I could have got there faster and made more money and had more success. And so I think and it's hard as a new agent, but if you can realize like, hey, I'm confident in myself. I see the game plan. Like when we did this thing, like we didn't reinvent anything. We followed Twardowski, we followed Dave Witcher, we followed Grady. What's the model? Sell 30 plus a month, recruit like crazy, post on social media, pour it back in, invest in staff. And if you can do that, it starts with selling though. It's hard to build this business if you're not selling a bunch, because it's hard to have the money to reinvest. It's hard to motivate people. It's hard to, lead from the front, that kind of deal. But if you start with selling and then you just get rabid about the business part of it, of recruiting and staff and doing that, this thing can blow up really quick.
Awesome, man. Well, dude, I'm so honored that you got on the call, dude. I really do appreciate you. It's been really cool to watch you guys just blow it up out there, man. Like y'all came out of nowhere and just changed the whole game, man. So kudos to you guys for working your tails off, and really proud of you guys. So guys, let's get on it. Today starts with 0. No matter how good or bad last week was, it doesn't matter. It's gone. So we all start at 0 today. So let's get on the phones. Let's set the tone for the rest of the week. Today, this is where your money's made. Today. All right. Guys, thanks a lot for getting on. Hayden, again, appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to get on here and pour into our teams. We appreciate you, bud.
Thanks, guys.